Welcome to our InnoEnergy Master Plus webinar on the Master in Smart Electrical Networks and Systems, Master in SEN. My name is Machteld van Rijsingen. I'm your host for today. I will introduce the speakers. First, we're going to talk about the Master in Smart Electrical Networks and Systems. Hans Edin, who is the program director of the Master, will present the content of the program. Then we'll have a brief Q&A with him where he can answer your questions about the program. Then we continue with a very short presentation about the InnoEnergy Masters Plus in general and how to apply. For the how to apply part, I've invited my colleague Josh from our admissions office to join us as well. And then after that part, you can answer questions. We can answer your questions. If you have any questions, please put them in the questions box in the webinar, and we'll answer them first in the part after the program and then the part after Masters and Admissions. So thank you. I'm going to give the word to Hans Edin for the presentation about the Master in Smart Electrical Networks and Systems.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to give you a short presentation about one of the Masters programs we have in Inno. Masters Plus is termed SENS, Smart Electrical Networks and Systems, which we have been running for about 15 years now. So what is about SENS? Well, SENS is learning you about the electricity system for the future, and which is a key ingredient towards a sustainable energy system. So in SENS, we will teach you how to make it. And what you see here a little bit on the two photos is one is the classical overhead line systems, what just you always associate with an electric power system. And to the right, one see some of these colorful pictures, which indicates where the future actually lies then here. So if you want to contact me separately, you find my contact information here at edin@kth.se at KTH, where I have my usual occupancy, and my phone number is there as well in case you want to call me. So for the smart electrical networks and systems, which quite commonly also are termed smart grids, there are a number of technology drivers, and there is a strong need globally for renewable energies. And this is also in practice, also in combination with distributed generation, even if a lot of renewable energies nowadays actually are building very large power plants, fully in the levels of other power plants like nuclear power plants, hydropower plants, and coal power plants, for example. This is also partly driven by the climate change, the growing population in the world. On top of that, we also have an aging infrastructure of the classical electric power grid system that was evolving strongly in the 1950s, 60s, and so on. We also see a very strong change in the electrified transportation sector, where electric vehicles has become more and more the last 10 years. On top of that, we have also seen a very large evolution in technical performance in other areas like communication, data processing, infrastructure, and now the latest is now this artificial intelligence. We also have an extremely productive industry, and also we see now a fifth generation of electrification of heavy industries, then moving away from fossil-based heating, for example, and other means. Yes, the SENS program is very much a student-centered education. We focus very much on the students we have and how they can develop and get a good career start in the areas of smart electrical networks, electric power industry in general, and so on. So here we see two photos from some of the two later cohorts then. The left photo is taken during the ESADE Business Summer School in Barcelona that is held every year. And the rightmost photo is, I think, is from the autumn school also in Barcelona, which we traditionally do also every year. A few words about myself. I'm a professor at KTH in electrical systems. In practice, I'm working very much on high voltage aspects, power grid components, electrical insulation systems. So this is a subject field I very much passionate about, because it's spanning from everything from atomic physics levels when it comes to discharges in air and so on, over chemistry, biology, and then up to the high voltage and high power phenomena that we have in the grids and in the nature in form of lightning strikes and so on. I'm also the head of the Department of Electrical Engineering at KTH, and I have been in Inno since the start in the start of SENS in 2012. Then I'm also teaching many of the courses that you will see when if you come to KTH in the first year in SENS. The program organization is organized in Inno Masters Plus. Then the previous names has been InnoEnergy, and if you Google, you will find many previous students that has been part of the InnoEnergy. It is not a big difference in practice for you as a student. The SENS program then is coordinated by seven European universities, and then we have industrial support, which supports the program with different types of activities, guest lectures, study visits, student projects, multi-thesis works, and so on. Then. In the program, you have a mobility demand and an opportunity. You have to study at two different universities. First year at KTH and UPC, you should be there actually, and second year at another university. Then you will achieve a double degree from the two universities, one degree from each university, and then a mutual, and then a transcript. No, sorry, and then a certificate from the InnoMasters Plus. Then the aim of the program in general, which I a little bit have indicated already, is that it is to provide you as a student with the most suitable education that prepare you for an international career in the electric power engineering area, with a specific focus on smart grids, which is the power system of the future. Then. But on top of this, this education, compared to many other master's education in the electric power engineering sector, has an enhanced focus on entrepreneurship, innovation, and business creation, in particular within the field of electric power engineering and smart grids. So the technology area is electric power engineering here, and this is a little bit old figure, but it's showing the electric power system, how it has looked like for quite many years, with large power production sources in the form of nuclear, hydro, and combined heat and power plants, and then a transmission over really high voltage lines, depending on how far you have to transmit the energy, and then stepping down with transformers into distribution grid, and then finally you end up in the consumption areas. Then. This is a picture that has been existing from the 1950s up to 2010, maybe one can say, almost. And since then there has been large initiatives and changes to this, and which is a change that is still ongoing here. So in electric power sense, this is a change from a very traditional grid with a more or less radial type of system, even if it's a network in reality, of course. But what we see here is that we have many new types of sources of electric power in the form of wind turbines, large PV plants, but also new loads in the form of electric vehicles. We have also new opportunities to control the grid with energy storage units in form of large battery sites and so on. And also we have many new facilities to control the power system due to advanced communication, data handling, AI, and so on. So this is a highly evolving field, and which are changing the infrastructure of the electric power over the world. For example, one can see that one is changing the power system from having a unidirectional power flow to a bidirectional power flow, because nowadays we can have power generation anywhere and not only in large power plants in top of the system. There are a number of thematic challenges as needs, and this can be a very long list with a lot of things then that are looking into a number of things which are not at all listed in a specific order. There can be infrastructure for EV charging. It is about how to design the electricity market, which has traditionally been more or less a national concern, but has opened up in different parts of the the world to have much larger markets. For example, in Europe, where we have more or less a pan-European electricity market. Even if we have much local generation in the smart grids, we also see an even increasing strong need for large-scale power transmission, for example, due to power corridors in Germany, for example, the SeedLink and so on. And we can continue this list with reliability, flexibility, and offshore wind, onshore wind, batteries, electrolyzers, and so on. So the list can be very long, and the number of challenges that has to be tackled. Not everything is opportunities. There are also some threats and weaknesses and risks to handle. The more computerized you make everything, the more risky it will be also that it is attacked by cyber attacks and so on. So there are even a lot of work for computer engineers in this field, one can say that. If we just make a quick tour with some difference from different technical areas, one can, for example, mention microgrids, which is an interesting area where you actually can operate a part of a power system in an island mode for a certain time without a connection to the main transmission grid. This relies then on that you have a certain amount of local production, storage, and also that you can control the consumption more dynamically and not only planned, so to say. There are also many different types of technologies. We have the classical AC technology, which has been dominating for 100 years, but enormous leap forwards has been done in DC technology. So today, very much can be operated with DC. For example, PV plants are directly generating DC current. Batteries are storing in DC power. Many loads can operate directly with DC and so on. But of course, we have an enormous investment in an existing AC infrastructure, which we have to tackle and adapt to the new situations. Then, so the future world is hybrid, one can say, AC and DC. Communication aspects are there as well. I mean, most of you are grown up with internet since your childhood, so you don't know anything else. But there was a time before that even. But nowadays we can have enormous sophisticated control and monitoring devices which can help running the electric power system to a large extent. I mentioned cybersecurity. The more connected devices we have, the more sensitive it will be for different type of attacks, which can also be challenging. Data analytics is also growing to a very high level, and this has also paved the path, one can say, for AI-based technologies where more optimized decisions can be taken based on different data trends and knowledge of behavior, so to say. But still, even if we have a lot of fancy modern technologies, the backbone in the power grid is still very highly reliable power technologies. And this is a slide from the areas where I'm by myself is working very much on high voltage DC technologies. And what you see is a high voltage DC rectifier transformer, which is a special type of transformer. And then you see also high voltage DC cables, which are used for transmitting very large amount of powers over long distances. And in the areas of HVDC, which is one of the important technical fields in the science program, there has been long-term dreams about building HVDC super grids. And actually, it is very interesting to see that if you go back 40 years, then you see that the visions are actually becoming more and more true the more we are moving on with HVDC technology. For example, one important project in the area of Northern Europe is the North Sea projects of how to harvest all the amount of offshore wind power we can from the North Sea and then get it into the different countries on the land, so to say. That is one area where we see a lot of high voltage DC technologies, but also AC technologies is there. A little bit back then to the SENS program structure then. So in SENS, you can start the first year either at KTH in Stockholm or at UPC in Barcelona. So there you spend your first year with different activities. Then in the summer between the first and second year, we have a business and entrepreneurship summer school with ESADE, which is held usually between mid-June to mid-July. This is an activity that starts already in the spring semester of the first year. In the second year, you have to go to another university, and the options are to go to Eindhoven, TUE, to KU Leuven in Belgium, to INP Grenoble in France, to UPC in Barcelona, Spain, and to KTH in Stockholm. But you cannot study the first and the second year at the same place, so you need to have a mobility scheme then here. I mentioned in the beginning that there are 7 universities that are part of this consortia, and we have also activities that are provided by AGH in Krakow and Uppsala University in Uppsala, Sweden. AGH is providing a power quality module, and Uppsala University are providing a battery module. And on top of this, we have a number of different type of innovation, entrepreneurs activities, and also many activities together with industry partners. Yes, here you just see some nice photos of the different campus areas. To the left, you see the main court of KTH, and you see UPC. You see Grenoble in the next to the Alps, Eindhoven in the Netherlands. And here we see again the last one here is the KU Leuven then in outside Brussels in Belgium. One of the key areas in any InnoMasters Plus program is actually the innovation activities, frequently called the innovation journey. And in the SENS program, this is something that is ongoing mainly in the first year, because in the second year, you focus very much on your master's thesis work. So right now we have this first year students, they will on Sunday, they will actually leave for the so-called SENS Autumn School, which is held in Grenoble and Barcelona for 1 week. In the spring semester, we have a power quality module in Krakow, partly online first and then in Krakow. And then we have ESADE Business Management, Entrepreneurship and Business Creation module, which starts already with spring seminars in the spring. And then we have a full summer school then in Barcelona during the summer. We also have the Uppsala Battery Day during the spring. Some of these activities are linked to the courses you take in the first year. If you take it at KTH here as an example, you have then an innovation and entrepreneurship course starting immediately. And then you have an industrial innovation project that you do during the spring, where you do it together with an industry. You solve a certain task for the industry, and it can vary very much dependent on the need for the particular industry. Then. Everything is also a little bit connected with a program cohesion course called the same name as the program, the SENS course then. In the end of the first year, we have something called the SENS Meet event, where all students in SENS gather together, and that is both year 1 and year 2 students. So the year 1 students, they present what they have done during the industrial innovation projects, and the year 2 students, they present what they do in their master thesis projects. So in the second year, you study in the autumn mainly new thematic courses where you specialize, and then in the spring semester you do master thesis projects. The master thesis project can also be running over the whole year, and so it varies a little bit from which university you study at how the master thesis project actually is executed. In the second year, you also have an opportunity to be part of a Green Seed Journey competition that is organized by InnoMasters Plus. Yeah, the type of students we're looking for, very good students in the technical areas, but that is not everything. You don't need to be absolutely top, but you have to be creative. We want to have students that have a clear mindset for business aspects and not only the technical aspects. We're looking for people that can become entrepreneurs, that is meaning making startups, but also entrepreneurs here, which can be leading development in industry. For SENS, it is in general necessary to have a significant background in electrical engineering, but we try to have a quite good mix also, so that not only electrical engineers, but you need to have a significant amount of electrical engineering at least, or sufficient amount. So then I thank you for my presentation, and then I give the word to the InnoMasters Plus people.
Thank you, Antedin, for this presentation. I learned a lot. If any of the attendees have questions, please leave them in the question box. I already have one question for you to start this. Why do you think it's relevant for students these days to have not only a technical training, but also training in innovation and entrepreneurship?
No, I think it's very important that you can reach out with your new ideas and that you can actually create the value with your ideas. And value means that someone else wants what you can deliver. And that is what an entrepreneur or intrapreneur can actually make, even if it is not always in a startup. But what we see from the SENS students is that many students actually go to newly started companies. Maybe they don't start them by themselves. That is always very risky and challenging, but they are very common that they join quite new and young initiatives actually. So it's very important that you are not only focusing on the engineering aspect, but you also learn how this can create value in the business areas.
And do you have examples of SENS students who did start their own company?
Yes, we have a company called Rely, which has been started by a number of SENS students. One of them is Laura Larin, and they have received many awards and have been on Forbes lists for the best or the top 30 companies under 30. So we have a good examples of SENS students that have started, created their own businesses.
Nice. What do you think are the most pressing, I mean, you had the whole list, but what are the most pressing topics that students or graduates of this program are going to be working on in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years?
I think you will work very much on being part of the energy transition from fossil-based to sustainable energies in different ways. Then, of course, this is not always a linear path. I mean, one sees challenges in different areas from time to time. Like, for example, now the electric car industry maybe has some problems, but in the long term, this will be the winning technology in the energy sector for sure. Then, so you will have a great future in developing the grids for handling sustainable energy technologies.
All right, but those were the questions so far. I would like to thank you, Antedin, for sharing this presentation. I know you need to go somewhere else.
Thank you.
I will continue the presentation with some more information about the context of InnoEnergy and Masters Plus. So if you stop sharing, then I will start sharing.
See here if I stop my sharing here.
I'm going to make myself presenter. Yes. I hope it's not showing my screen. So, InnoEnergy and Masters Plus. What's the context of the Master in SENS? InnoEnergy is not just an organization that is running master program. In fact, InnoEnergy is a company that's an impact investor in clean tech. And it means that InnoEnergy invests in startups and creates its own companies in order to speed up the energy transition. We currently have a portfolio of over 160 startups that we're actively supporting. But we also believe that you, our master or future master students, by training you not just in engineering, but also in innovation and entrepreneurship, you can be a catalyst for the energy transition. And companies need a different kind of profile nowadays. And by taking our programs, you have that profile. And we are actively working also on connecting you to all those companies in our ecosystem. So InnoEnergy has created this ecosystem since 15 years. We were founded in 2010, supported by the European Union. And we were one of the first knowledge and innovation communities in Europe. And in those 15 years, we built up this trusted and diverse clean tech ecosystem. And together with our partners, we fund, we grow, we scale clean technologies. And you see that our ecosystem, it consists of students and alumni, companies that we're supporting. We have shareholders, which a lot of them are the universities that you may study in when you join one of our programs. We also have set up several strategic value chains on batteries, solar, green hydrogen, and we continue to build and develop further this ecosystem, and you as students and alumni are going to be part of it. InnoEnergy has, in those 15 years, developed into a professional company that invests in early stage startups, builds new industrial champions. We deliver upscale talent, prepare the next generation of energy transitioners, and we lead some of these clean tech value chains. We've created impact in terms of jobs, reduction of CO2 emissions, and energy cost savings. And in practice, it means that our master programs are enabled by this ecosystem, and by joining our programs, you will become part of it. And when I say our programs, we actually, as part of InnoEnergy Master Plus, we offer 5 programs in sustainable energy, advanced energy systems and AI, smart electrical networks and systems. Both of these programs are actually supported specifically by Schneider Electric. They're very happy to work with our students and graduates, all of them, but especially from these programs. We have a program on nuclear energy, a program on sustainable energy systems, and a program on renewable energy. And now, what's the plus in the InnoEnergy Masters Plus? I wanted to just highlight the journey that you're going to have already. Hans-Edien showed quite what that looks like when you're in the SENSE program. But in general, in all of our programs, you will study in 2 universities. You'll have an innovation and entrepreneurship journey, and you have the possibility to study additional courses in energy and digitalization, AI for energy. And for all the activities, you will get degrees and certificates. On top of that, we have the Careers Plus track, where we're going to help you build your career by having networking events, virtual career fairs, hackathons, company visits, mentoring by alumni. We try to help you find your thesis or internship. We also have the Green Sea Journey competition that Hans-Edien mentioned, which is a startup competition where you can test your startup idea and get field feedback from advisors. And then there's also prizes where you can get funding for your startup. And some startups every year, some of the winning startups, they actually turn into real companies. So it's not just a virtual competition. We also have a Community Plus, which by joining our programs, you become part of a unique network of students and alumni. In every of our locations, we have social and I would say study activities. So students, they organize social activities, but they also organize their own study visits that are not related to the specific program that you're in. We have a student council with student representatives that give us feedback on the programs. Basically, anything that you would like to organize, we can organize. Alumni are also part of this ecosystem. And really, once you are in InnoEnergy Masters Plus programs, you can never leave. Students and alumni give back to the community. They've been an intern themselves, and now that they have a job, they will reach out to us to find new interns for their company that they're working in now. So it keeps on giving. So once you graduate from our programs, you will find that actually a lot of our alumni stay in Europe. 83% of our alumni employed in Europe. We have over actually 2,200 alumni nowadays. Need to update that slide. And this is different from, let's say, normal master programs that we study in, where not this high percentage of alumni stay in Europe. And the reason why students can stay is because they will find a job. We help them find a job. And because you are going to be getting so much career support during your studies, we'll help you find an internship, we'll connect you to companies, we'll train you on how to apply for jobs. A lot of people actually find jobs. Some job titles: project engineer, consultants, also PhD students, business development managers. So students come find jobs in very diverse sector, I mean, in the energy sector, but they have very wide range of jobs. You will also see some of the common companies that our alumni are working for that you will recognize. So by joining our programs, you will fast track your career in sustainable energy, and you can find a job in Europe afterwards. So now that we have made you all eager about our program, I'm going to give the floor to Josh, who is going to tell us how you can apply for our programs.
Thank you very much, Machteld, and absolutely fantastic information there about all of the different aspects of InnoEnergy Masters Plus that just make our programs, that produce very employable graduates. So thank you very much for that information. My name is Josh Compton, and I'm an admissions officer for InnoEnergy Masters Plus, and I just thought that I would go through a couple of slides with some very sort of basic laying the ground information about how to apply and the application process and anything like that. So if you've got any questions, again, just pop them in the chat box, and then we can take them at the end of my very short session. Thank you. If we can go on to the next slide, please. As my colleague Machteld just mentioned, then we have 5 different master's programs in InnoEnergy Masters Plus. This information you can also find on our website. If you look on the admissions requirements section and then you go down to the different programs, you can also see similar information about which kind of bachelor's background opens the door to which master's programs that we have. These aren't set in stone per se. At the end of the day, what's important is the content of what you've studied, as opposed to the name of the program that you studied. So do make sure to have a look at the fine print in terms of how many credits are required in different subject areas for different programs, because your degree title might be one thing, but you may have studied courses from other subjects as well. In terms of documents for application, we need to see your degree, your bachelor's degree documents. There may be some of you who have studied a master's or further degrees. These are really good to have in your application if you've studied them, but the necessary requirements to be admitted at master's level are bachelor's documents. So what we mean by that is the bachelor's degree certificate, together with the official transcript of records, your final overall numerical grade, and the grading system used by the university, where we can see the minimum passing grade and the maximum attainable grade. If these documents are not produced directly by your university in English, then we do need to see a translation. There are many universities all around the world at the moment that are providing documents in English. So if you haven't got documents in English, then do contact your university and ask them if they can provide you with something in English. If that's not possible, then please just get them translated and then provide the translations together with the originals when you apply. As all of our programs are fully taught and assessed in English, we need to know that you are going to be able to manage the academic studies in English. So we ask for some proof of English language proficiency. I'm going to talk about the different English test waivers that we have a bit later on, but for now, I want to focus on the 3 different English tests that we accept at InnoEnergy Masters Plus, which are approved for admission at all of our universities. And so the first one is the IELTS academic test. The second one is the TOEFL internet-based test, or IBT, and then the third is our 2 exams provided by Cambridge, the Certificate in Advanced English and the Certificate of Proficiency in English. You can see on your screen in front of you the different scores that we need in order for you to be able to, for you to gain admission. If you would like to come back and check this over at any time, then please just check out our website under the admissions requirements section. You can scroll down to the proof of English proficiency section, and then you can see at your own leisure the exact requirements. Please also apply with your CV and passport. CV, it should be no more than 2 pages of A4, 2 sides of A4. And your passport, obviously, if you're going to be traveling to Europe, then we need to see a passport from you. If you are in the process of getting your passport and only have an ID card, then of course you can apply with that. But then obviously, if you are going to be coming to Europe from somewhere outside of Europe, then you will be needing a passport anyway. If you have studied in any of the countries listed on the screen in front of you, then there is an extra documentation requirement for you if that is where you've studied your bachelor's degree. So if you've studied a master's or higher degree, then you don't need to worry about this requirement. But if you've studied your bachelor's degree in Bangladesh, Cameroon, Canada, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Sri Lanka, or the USA, then we need to receive this transcript directly from your university. And this can be by email or by post, unless you have studied in Bangladesh or Sri Lanka, and in that case, it's only by post. And then if you've studied in Pakistan, if you've studied your bachelor's degree in Pakistan, then please make sure that your degree certificate and your transcript of records are attested by the Higher Education Commission. Again, all of this information is on the website. It's also in the application itself. So if it's a lot of information to take in, you can always go back and look at it at your leisure. And then depending on which program you're applying to, you will then be required to submit a letter of motivation or potentially a motivational video. Yeah, essentially, whether it's a letter or a video, the content is going to be the same. So detailing why you wish to apply for the program, what you can bring to the program, and why you think we should admit you. And you can check this information again at your leisure later on our website and in the application. And then for the Masters in Smart Electrical Networks and Systems, we have 3 English test waivers available for you. I'm going to talk about them from left to right. So the first English test waiver we call the Universal English Test Waiver. And this is if you have studied a bachelor's degree from the 5 countries you can see on your screen: Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the UK, and the USA. Then you can study at all of the universities within this program consortium. If you've studied a master's degree, then this will also be valid for studies at KU Leuven, but not at TUE. And just to be a little bit more clear here, Ireland is also included in this, but because Ireland is also part of the European Union, it kind of comes into the European English option. So if you have studied in English in the European Union, the European Economic Area, or Switzerland, then you can also qualify for an English test waiver, but this is not valid at TU Eindhoven nor KU Leuven. And I think I'm going to update this slide with putting Ireland in the Universal English Test Waiver, because that is for all of our universities. Finally, on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see the Alternative English Option Waiver. The full list of the 28 countries included in this waiver can be found on our website under the English Requirements section. And these are essentially 28 countries in the Americas and Africa. If you've studied a bachelor's degree in one of these 28 countries, then you can qualify for an English test waiver. Again, this is not valid for TU Eindhoven nor KU Leuven. So if you wish to study at either of those 2 universities and you fulfill the requirements for an ANO or an ENO waiver, then please make sure that you take a test if that's really where you want to study. So I think that's it in terms of application requirements, but then just to give you some information about the different application rounds that we have 5 application rounds per application year, the first of which closed for application on Sunday evening. So round 1, which is now closed for application, we are working through those applications, has been concluded. And then if you are looking to apply in round 2, then already next week from the 10th of November, 2025 it should be there, then you can already start preparing your application for round 2, and you can apply for 2 programs in rounds 1 to 4, and then you can apply for 1 program in round 5. So yeah, if you are looking at applying in round 2, you've got until the 11th of January, sorry, to apply, which is plenty of time to get any documents ready, prepare your CV in the best way possible. If you're going to produce a motivational letter or video, you've got time to invest and explore around how you wish to express yourself. Yeah, and then I think that's it from admissions. Thank you very much for listening. I think, yeah, you had a lot of information today in this session. You're always welcome to get in touch with us. You've got the website there on the screen in front of you, mastersplus.innoenergy.com. And you can contact our study advisors at innoenergy@studyinquiry.com. They also have a telephone time, so you can call them on this +44 number, or you can send them a WhatsApp on the other +44 number. And then also you can follow us on socials if you'd like. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Josh. That was very clear. I see we have one question, and I will try to answer it. For students who plan to pursue a PhD after a Master in Sense, how well does the curriculum prepare us for academic research? Are there opportunities to work on publications or research projects during the Master's? So I can say here that of every intake of the Master in Sense, at least 2 students have pursued a PhD afterwards. So it's really quite a common common activity. It's whether you can already work on publications during your Master's, that's a bit up to you. You'll have to talk to the individual professors that you're working with in different courses, and they can help you with that. Sometimes the master's thesis that you're working on will lead to a publication, but that's up to you to pursue. But there's Professor Aideen or other professors in the program are very helpful and willing to support you in that. And then the next question, if it's applicable, is there any examples with students and their work topics for industrial innovation projects? Okay, so that one I would ask Professor Aideen, but he had to leave already. So in this case, I would ask you, please send an email to Hans Aideen at.kth.sc, and he has a list of examples that students of the industrial innovation projects that students have worked on. So that's it's very broad. They will help you. The companies come to this industrial innovation project. I know they work a lot with Vattenfall, sometimes with ABB. So it's quite big companies that need your help in solving some problems that they have. All right, those were the questions that we had in the chat. Then I would like to thank you, Josh, and also Professor Aideen for helping out in this webinar. As Josh said, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out on any of the media that you find here. A lot of questions are answered in our website, but we also really, if you think that your question isn't answered there, don't hesitate to reach out. We will answer every question. And I hope to see you next year in one of our events for students. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.